All right, so here we are, episode 2 of the Deployment Dudes podcast. I'm joined here with Scott Hutter, my esteemed colleague.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy. So we are coming off of our MURTEC trip in Las Vegas, and there was a change of venue this year.
Yes, 30th year anniversary and first year at Caesars Forum, moving from the Paris.
How'd you feel about that?
I liked it. It was a little bit of a walk to get there, which I'm fine with because I'm a big walker anyways, but I was definitely getting at least my 10,000 steps in a day.
Most definitely.
Yeah, not really able to, pop out of the show and go take a quick conference call, go back to your room, take a call. But in general, I liked the expo hall better. I thought it was really good that they had everything in the same room. So going back to Paris, like you had Startup Alley would be outside the show. This year, everything was on the expo floor. I think that really invited more of a sense of collaboration. And then I think too, just having more space, it didn't feel as clustered. So it made it easier to kind of walk booth to booth and have conversations and just not feel so congested and on top of one another.
That was interesting in conversations that I was having with different participants in the show, and the way that it was laid out this year. Having that space, I, for one, my own personal opinion was, I almost felt like it was better. The lack of that congestion to me helped each one of those vendors have a bigger presence. they they pop more,
Yeah.
and you could really see who was presenting, because in other fashions that we've seen with MURTEC, they're all side by side and you're running down this gauntlet of alleyway, and you've got vendors on both sides, and sometimes when people are huddling and communicating with those vendors, depending on the size of the group, could make navigating through those hallways or those alleyways difficult.
Yeah.
And the fact that this was opened up, I felt like that was really, really good.
It was. I felt like I had more room to breathe, right? And it's just a lot easier, like I said, to walk, booth to booth and have conversations with people and not feel like you're right on top of someone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally agree. And then we hosted the second annual Ring of Fire, which again I think was a big hit. There were 5 participants, and you hosted it,
Mm-hmm.
and
MC'd it.
you emceed it, and you killed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's your pretty face, but
Yeah, I mean, it was really good to see the jump from year 1 to year 2. So last year was the first year we did it, obviously, and it had no brand name to it, so people didn't really know what it was, which was kind of good. There's a little bit of mystique to it, but I think this year, just leading up to it, they also had it on the second day this year, where I think last year's the first day. So we had a little bit more time to sort of build up that hype. And then also the companies that were participating, they had a Ring of Fire um, badge or icon on their booth.
helped identify what it was and created questions.
Yeah. And the winner was PathSpot, which is a really cool story. I think it's a great example of how they use the RTN platform. I've known PathSpot for years. I first got introduced to them in 2020, the COVID year, and they were participants of Startup Alley and actually won Startup Alley. So it's really cool to see them sort of progress through that RTN platform. They go from Startup Alley winners to now Ring of Fire winners. So sort of like a full circle moment for them.
I agree, and I think that's kind of the benefit of us participating in this show, and anybody else participating in this show, is that you get to watch the progression of, that's a perfect example, them moving forward.
Yeah, yeah.
So they won Startup Alley from
Mhm.
before, and now here they are on Ring of Fire in the second annual and win it. I think that's what it's designed to do, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I said, they're exhibit A of how to use that platform. It's like anything else. You get out of it what you put into it. And they've always been very active members in RTN and work groups and always had a presence at MURTEC. So it's definitely paying dividends for them. Um, And it's a really cool technology. Actually, back in 2020 when I first met them, I was kind of just asking like how the technology worked, and they're like, do you want us to send one to your house? I thought they were kidding, and then a week later, I had one at my house. I think it's because I was looking to do installations for them, so I was like, I want to see like, is this thing really that complicated to install? It's not. It's super easy. If I could do it, just about anybody could.
I believe that.
Yeah. So I still have a hand scanner installed in my basement bathroom. It's a great conversation piece. I'll have friends over, we watching the football game. They'll go to the bathroom.
How about your kids?
They love it. They're scanning their hands 2, 3 times a day, which actually helps. They don't get as sick as often.
I don't know if that's true.
No, they still get sick very often.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine what it could be if they weren't
But it's not the
washing their
product.
hands.
It's
Yeah.
not the product's
No,
fault.
no. So yeah, great story for them. And Ring of Fire, I think, was a big success. I hope it becomes a staple at the show. I think the presence and the audience and the awareness of the event grew, and I think it plays in nicely to the whole theme of the show.
Experience matters.
Well, yeah, there's that one, but that's the official tagline. But just my take on the whole show is just it's the art of the possible that I'm always blown away by. Because when you think about like restaurant technology, you think about your traditional network, infrastructure, point of sale. But then when you go to these shows and you go to Startup Alley or Ring of Fire and you walk the floor, you start to see all these different use cases and innovative solutions that you would have never even have thought of before. Right? Like what was the one with the food allergies?
Right.
Yeah.
It's real. People have allergies. People are sensitive to a variety of different foods and ingredients. And the more and more technology is expanding our ways of communicating, you know, making sure that a restaurateur can broadcast across all of their restaurants and their menus of highlighting what kind of ingredients that they're using so that people have knowledge and can understand what's in those foods and bring awareness to it.
Yeah. It's a fascinating concept because you look at these restaurant brands that might have multiple restaurants in their portfolio with different menus. And food allergies is a real risk, not only for the consumer, but for the restaurant itself. If they don't prep the food properly,
For sure.
it's a liability. So um, it was just fascinating to see now that you have a software that can analyze a menu and then quickly make recommendations for people that have a certain type of allergy. And then that also goes back into the kitchen. So they know when somebody does order a dish a certain way with a certain allergy, they know which ingredients to use.
Yeah, you can swap these
Right.
one for one.
Yeah.
Right. If you have something that's peanut, okay, peanut now is removed and they replace it with some other much safer ingredient for the person with the food allergy.
Yeah. So I thought they really embodied that art of the possible. And then the other one that I got to do that I thought was really cool is the virtual reality that they had set up there.
Right.
So I went back there, put on the VR headset, and this is for remote training. So, you might not have the opportunity to bring all the people that are working in your kitchen in to do in-person training. So they have a VR headset. And the use case they had was making a deli sandwich. So you put on the VR headset, you're in a VR setting of a restaurant, almost looked like a Subway with all your ingredients. And it would get step by step, it would tell you what to grab, what to do. I did it a couple times. Second time I was much faster. I don't know if they recorded it, but I like to think I had the record on that one.
Of course you do.
Yeah, sure. And then the other theme, the official theme of the show, Experience Matters. What did you think about that tagline, and how did they do on delivering on that message this year?
I learned a lot. And especially for an old guy like me that's been around for a while and just seeing how things are evolving and how quickly things are evolving. Experience matters. A couple of things that I got out of that, learning about, first of all, casual dining they're talking about is the toughest segment
Mm-hmm.
in the restaurant space. I would have guessed it was QSR, but they're saying that it's casual dining is the toughest segment. I also thought it was fascinating as to what demographic is the biggest spender in the casual dining space, and it's the millennials, with Gen Z right on its heels, and how then that moved into the perception of value. And they made value in an equation and stated that it's price over experience.
You talk about my man crush,
I I may be talking about your man crush, the
Damala.
the
Sorry if I'm not getting his name
CEO
right.
of
Yeah,
Red Lobster. I mean, first of all, wow.
yeah,
I'm incredibly he is a very sharp individual.
yeah. That was well. I thought the experience matters. They nailed with all the keynotes. That seemed to be the theme, like with Damon and the Domino's CEO. And the Red Lobster one, I went into with really no expectation. I think that's the one you and I both came away with the most notes on, right? And I we were joking about me having a man crush on him. I thought that was limited to Ryan Gosling, but apparently not. But just one of those people you're just in awe with, just on how polished they are and well spoken and in touch with what they do and the people that they're leading. And what's even more impressive is the age at what he's doing it.
100%. You know, he was a private equity or
Yeah,
or
finance private
finance
equity
private
guy,
equity guy,
which
and
that was kind of the mind blowing part because you think somebody from that background would be focused more on numbers and seemed like he was much more focused on people first.
back to that, value is in an equation, price over experience,
Yeah,
and they're having to make sure that and this is not a blow to Red Lobster at all, but he's trying to and is going to be successful at this. I am 100% confident. He's trying to reinvent what that experience of walking into a Red Lobster is like.
hmm
I think it has, in its day, it was the thing. It had its own theme. You go in, you had the fish nets hanging everywhere, you had the seaside feel to it, and I think he is trying to make that more current in today's world. And I think looking at that demographic of the millennials and who are the biggest spenders and where is their value and how that's perceived. And I want to see how this is going to transition over time. But incredibly impressive, dude.
yeah, he became so he was private equity background. They got involved with Chipotle when they were bankruptcy and financial trouble. So they started helping out Chipotle. He gets named CEO at 31. And then a couple years later, he gets named CEO of Red Lobster.
Yeah. And then I loved his concept of the 10-4 rule.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, he had Red was his first concept that he started with, which is recognize. Sorry, I have it written down. I don't have it by memory yet. It's recognize, engage, delight. That's what they're emphasizing with their employees, which goes along with the Red Lobster theme, right?
Correct.
Right. So that's what they emphasize with them. And a concept of that is this 10-4 rule. So anytime you're an employee working in the restaurant, when you're within 10 feet of a guest, you acknowledge them. Might just be like a hi, how are you? If you're within 4 feet of them, you greet them. It's a warmer greeting or a conversation. Or how can I
Engage.
help you? And you engage them.
Right.
Right. Almost gives me Chick-fil-A vibes a little bit. But just that focus on employees and training them, making that investment in them. It seems like at least in his first, I don't know, 6 to 12 months he's been there, employee turnover is down. So he's got, people who are really invested in being a part of Red Lobster, which in turn helps the guest experience.
He also talked about, the fact that we're at MURTEC, restaurant and technology focused. He mentioned that the importance of infrastructure, and it's the least sexy but is most important of the tech stack.
Yeah.
And I think it was good for other restaurateurs to hear that, because it seems like sometimes that part of it either gets downplayed or doesn't put so much emphasis on how important the infrastructure and the IT stack is in the restaurant. It's the lifeblood of communicating back to the home office, all the financials, everything.
Yeah, I talked about the art of the possible, right? And all the flashy new trends and problems they're solving. The art of the possible is impossible without good sound infrastructure. That's the frame of your car, your HVAC system in a building, right? If that doesn't work, nothing else matters. So thought it was really intuitive of him to recognize that. And you and I live that every day. It's not the sexiest of things. I mean, we we build out infrastructure, right? It's can be viewed as sort of like IT plumbing, right? It's not the sexy of the things, but without that,
It's essential.
it's essential. Correct.
It is essential.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, once again, another MURTEC is under our belt, and the the fact that we were there and being able to participate again, getting to see all of our old friends again. It was had that restaurants and the vendors and that whole sense of community, and the best practices. Do you have any comments around that?
I think just the people's openness and willingness to share best practices. Like you have all these restaurants there who are fierce competitors. Like a lot of times when you're thinking about where you want to eat, you might be looking like I want chicken tonight. Well, do I go to Chick-fil-A? Do I go to Popeyes? Like all these places are competitors, but when you're there, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't seem like people have their guard up. And I really felt that sense of community. You're walking down the show, you see people, you're giving high fives, you're shaking hands. It's just very friendly and open. It does have that sense of almost like a family.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we certainly have competitors there, but you never really feel like you're competing with any of them. It's everybody just really seems to be willing to help.
Correct.
So, all right. Well, I think another good segment. Enjoyed being at the show with you again, as always. And until next time.
Yeah. See you out there next year.